This absolute shit show of a trilogy is finally over. Welcome to Bite Size Bunny, my name's Tony, and today we are going to be talking about The Strangers Chapter 3. The Strangers Chapter 3 picks up right where the last film left off. Our main character has killed one of the strangers, so now they are down a man. But luckily for our main character, the strangers are now hiring, so they have kidnapped her and forced her to join their evil murder club. This way they can expose her to the joys of killing random people and how once you start killing, it allows you to feel truly free because you will be emotionally numb to everything going on in the world. Now that this trilogy is finally over, I feel pretty confident in saying I think this is the worst horror trilogy I've ever seen. I can't imagine another horror trilogy being that much worse than this completely useless revival of an IP I otherwise really enjoy. Look, the first two Strangers films aren't great, but I do think they are competently crafted movies, and I do really enjoy them despite their flaws. So I was really excited for these new entries into the franchise when they were initially announced. But this has been nothing except for one lazy half-ass cash grab of a reboot. And the worst part is, The Strangers Chapter 3 is actually the best entry out of these three films, and it's still abysmal. They double down on giving the killers an origin story, this time covering their childhood and teenage years, showing us why they are killers and how they've developed their evil murder methods over the years, with some plot twist story beats that feel painfully obvious with how on the nose they were with the build up to the actual reveals. And again, them choosing to explain who the strangers are and why they are the way they are feels like they totally missed the point of what made the original Strangers an effective and interesting film. I don't need to know why they ask about Tamara. I don't need to know why the smiley face is their signature branding opportunity, and I don't need to know why each one of the killers ended up being a killer. Especially if you're not going to give us anything meaningful or thought-provoking for those explanations. Because the answers to those questions I never wanted to know the answers to are about as compelling as a round of Mad Libs. Actually, a Mad Libs approach to this script probably would have been way more intriguing. At least it wouldn't have been boring. Then it all builds up to a finale that thinks it's so clever, when in reality, it is the most cookie-cutter generic bullshit you could imagine. There is no reason this story needed to be split up across three movies. Shit, it barely justifies splitting it up across two entries. The performances are middling at best, the horror elements don't work, and there is no tension whatsoever at any point in this film. This is a completely forgettable movie. There really is no reason to watch it. You're better off skipping it entirely and saving your time. You're better off honestly rewatching any of the other really good or even great horror films that have released in theaters over the last month. Go see 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, or Iron Lung, or Scent Help, or even Primate. This is a waste of time, and you're better off seeing any of those films instead, even if it's a rewatch. I'm going to be giving The Strangers Chapter 3 a 2.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And what is the worst horror trilogy you've personally seen? I'd love to know.